Alright, Wobble here, and I just did a review of the new Shadow Hills Class A mastering compressor by Brainworx and Plugin Alliance, right? The too long didn't read version of my review it's awesome. You should get it. I recommend it. It's a little different vibe than the original one, but it's a good vibe. It's a little rounder, it's a little more transparent, it responds differently, and Brainworx added their strip down here, which has their tolerance modeling technology, which is a very clever way of modeling analog gear, and you get some mid-side controls down here. So anyway, like I said, good review. I like it. Now I'm going to teach you how to use it. So if you are not familiar with this compressor, what's cool about it is it's basically two compressors in one, right? There's an optical stage, right? And then there's a discrete stage, which is a VCA compressor, right? So here's how I set it up. I have a track that I'm working on the master to, right? It's sounding good. I'm just trying to get that final bit of glue and punch. This is some of my music. It's not going to be called hotel tape mastering, but we did record it in a hotel. Fun fact. Anyway, I digress. So there's 2 meters up here, right? And there's 3 buttons, or 3 positions for the meters, right? For each one. There's an output, which is an output meter, right? Then there's a gain reduction meter for the optical stage, which is the first one, and then the discrete VCA. So I set this up. I like to have 1 meter on the optical and the other one on the discrete so I can see how much I'm reducing. And then usually at the end I'll flip over to the output to see how much it's kicking, right? So then next thing I would say, start in the middle here. There's 2 modes. There's a dual mono mode and a stereo mode, right? So the difference is dual mono, each channel is going to operate independently, right? So they're each going to do its own thing. So if something's a little louder over here, only that side is going to respond to it, right? If you do stereo mode, this changes a bunch of things, because now both channels are going to react together, and only the left side controls are going to work. The ones over here aren't going to do anything, right? So for when I'm doing a master, or even like a bus comp, I usually will favor like a dual mono, just because I don't want it to get too pumpy, right? I usually just want to mix and glue things together, right? I'm just trying to make it like very it's compact package kind of sound, right? So I'm gonna go dual mono. If you use dual mono, you just have to remember that whatever you do on one side, you also have to check the other side, right? So very important. You might want to flip so you can see the compressor in both channels. Like if you're gonna dial in the optical, especially for this experimental shit I'm working on, because sometimes like the right and left will really bounce around a lot. So anyway, there's that. So let's get going here, right? So all right. So I'm gonna just bring up my threshold. It's all the way down. This isn't doing anything, right? So I'm just gonna shoot for like, I don't know, like 1 dB of gain reduction on the meter here. Something like that. Yeah, so that's at 11. Let me flip this to 11 and see what that sounds like. See, the meters are doing a little bit different things sometimes. That's why I like the dual mono situation. Alright, cool. So now that that's doing its thing, kind of gluing things together, now, oh shit, I'm going to move on to, I guess the gain situation here is good. We can always check that like this. Actually, let me pull this back a little bit. Get some headroom for the next stage. Alright, cool. So now we're going to do, let me just check. This is reducing again. Alright, looks good. Sounds good. I'm going to go to the discrete section now. Alright, so here we go. Usually for this stage, I'm going to have a pretty light ratio. Let's say keep it at 2. Alright, now for the attack time, that's going to depend. I like to I tend to favor a little bit of a slower attack unless I'm trying to clamp down on transients, and I've already done that in this mix. So I'm actually gonna leave this a little slow, right? Let's try 5. See how that sounds. Make sure ratio is 2 on both sides. Very cool. Other control that might be useful. So there's a sidechain filter, right, which is gonna let some of your lows through if it's getting too pumpy. But one thing to be aware of is there's a sidechain control here that's modeled after the actual hardware. But then in this Brainworx strip, there's also a sidechain control. I would probably tend to use this one since the range, like this is just an on-off. You could just be like, all right, this sounds good or it doesn't. This gives you a lot more control. Again, it goes up to 666 hertz if you want to channel the devil in your mixes. I'm not going to do that today. Don't want any bad juju. So I'm going to, let's leave it. Let me just get it over the lowest of lows. So 96 sidechain, right? Okay, cool. Anyway, I'm going to bring the threshold up. I want it reducing a little bit more. What's it at? 9. Let me just match this up. Alright, now I'm going to flip the meters so I can see what they're both doing. You know what, I'm going to speed up the attack on the discrete stage. And keep the release or the recovery time. When it says discrete recover, that's just your release time. And now I'm actually going to use this feature up here. I'm going to A-B it. So this is going to be my A. And I'm going to make this... Oh, shit. So we're going to copy. Oh, my bad. Alright. Whoops. Copy. We're going to go to B. Hit paste. And I'm just going to A-B some different settings here. So let me just try a slower discrete attack. And a slightly longer recovery time. I like the second one better. That's one we roll with. Anyway, so basically then the last thing that I would do is you got your settings dialed in. You have a choice of output transformers, right? You have a nickel output transformer, an iron one, and a steel one, right? It's very subtle in terms of difference between these things, right? Nickel, it's a little brighter on top, right? The iron one gives you a little bit more bass, right? And then the steel is supposedly the subbiest. So I'm just gonna flip between these and see which one I like. I'm leaning towards the steel right now. Just flipping back and forth. So anyway, that's basically the rundown of the whole thing. There's a couple other features like here I was fucking up and I couldn't figure out how this worked. But to use these A/B features, like say if I wanted to demo some of these, right? I would say the B one sounded the best. I would copy, right? Then hit your C, paste that in, then modify from here. This is how I would do it, right? And you can see you could demo a couple of features up here. That's super important. Up here you have some solo mid-side modes, which are pretty cool. So you can hear just the side field, just mids, right? In this case, I'm actually going to widen it a little bit. I want to get more of the sides. Alright, but anyway, yeah, this stuff down here, like I said, you got a sidechain filter, which is going to help you to keep that compressor from getting too pumpy from the bass. This is handy just to make sure that your bass is monoed. Right? with control. Another option for this thing that might be kind of cool, depending on the application, is maybe we hit the compressor real hard and do some parallel compression. But I won't be doing that today. That's what it's for. This, if you're wondering, this tolerance modeling stuff, right? This, again, it's going to model the electrical tolerance of the actual components. So if you flip between this and hit random channel, it will sound a little different, right? It's going to be subtle, though. Oh, this is another cool feature, right? Here, it's modeling different channels in the left and right, but if you hit MS, right, now it's going to put one in the midfield and the other in the side. Kind of cool. I can't really advise which is right or wrong. It's going to depend on what you're doing. You know, and I would just flip back and forth and see what sounds better, personally. What other features have I not talked about here? You could make it smaller, taking up too much space. Anyway, that's about it. I'm sitting here rambling. I would say go get this compressor. Hopefully this gives you a concept of how to use it. And hopefully it makes your mixes knock. That's really the goal, right? Is making stuff sound good. So let me know what you think. In the comments, hit me up, like, subscribe, all the good things. Make good music. Peace.